If there's something new about myself that I learned in 2021, it's that I should allow myself to say no more often. Good morning. I am Nate and welcome to a new day. Today, andito tayo ngayon sa bagong ospital ng Maynila, which has 384 beds, 12 ICUs, and 20 private rooms. It's 85% done and it's set to be finished by May. Today, we're going to be talking about burnout. And I know I've talked about it a lot, but there's just something about burnout in this culture where we tend to justify our burnout. We see and we realize that we are deprived of sleep. We do see a change in our eating habits. We notice that we do have a difficulty concentrating or focusing, and our memory suffers a little bit. But then we attribute it to different things like, yeah, you know, it's just part of the job. Okay lang, this too shall pass. But especially when you're seeing poor performance and in your own heart, you know, there's a lack of enjoyment. You avoid new responsibilities. Try not to justify your burnout or to deny that it's happening, because that might just make it even worse. I know that the current world and the current culture always pushes us to do more, to be more productive, to get more things done in less time, work smarter, but also work harder at the same time. And I don't want you to make excuses for anyone. This is your health that we're talking about. If you feel tired most of the time, if you have a lowered immunity, if there's a change in your appetite or your sleep habits, if you're not eating well or you have frequent headaches or you have back pain or a chronic pain, if emotionally you're experiencing a lot of self-doubt, you know, compared to before, you feel more helpless and hopeless compared to before, you have an increasingly negative outlook on the future, you've got decreased satisfaction and less of a sense of accomplishment whenever you get something done, and you're just feeling detached, then you're losing purpose. And lastly, on the behavior side of things, if you're withdrawing from your responsibilities, if you're isolating, if you're procrastinating, if you're avoiding, if you're using food, alcohol, social media, immersing yourself in video games to cope, if you take out your frustration on others, or if, I don't know, you come into work or school late and then you leave as early as possible, then half the battle is knowing and accepting. Not being in denial, not justifying it or making an excuse for others. Maybe you are experiencing some signs of burnout, and that's totally fine. That's what this video is for. That's what this community is for. We're here for each other. Okay, so now that you're at this point, there are 3 things that we can do. The first one is to find out why you're experiencing burnout. And possible causes can include lack of control. Maybe you feel like you don't have any decision-making power or creative freedom during your tasks or in your work or at school. Whether it's your schedule, your assignments, or your workload, you know, things that you feel like should be under your control or you should be able to make decisions about, but you're being limited right now. In your work, if you've got unclear job expectations, you know, maybe you're expecting this to be your workload, but then all of a sudden, people are calling in favors. Oh, sige na, kahit this one time, maybe you can help, or maybe just you're being assigned work that you didn't think initially you would be assigned. Perhaps you're experiencing dysfunctional workplace dynamics. It could be the people around you. Maybe there's a gossiping or backstabbing culture. Maybe it's a bit toxic. Maybe your job is too monotonous or too chaotic on the other hand. Maybe you have a lack of social support. So maybe you don't have a support system of people that you can trust and confide in around you that you can run to when you need help. Or it could be just simply a work-life imbalance and you don't have enough time to rest, you know, for yourself. And there are many other possible reasons, but the key is to be honest with yourself. Even if it sounds bad, even if it sounds weird, even if it sounds like, you know, when we complain but with disclaimers, yung parang, yeah, I'm having a hard time, but God is good naman eh. Be honest with yourself without the disclaimers. Okay, so knowing is half the battle, and the first step is to evaluate why you're possibly experiencing burnout. The second thing is to handle it and to process it. I think it starts with evaluating your options. Start with, okay, if I'm experiencing burnout in my work because of a toxic culture and toxic people, is there a way that I can distance myself from them? Maybe there's an unclear workload or job expectations. Maybe you can talk to your supervisor, and don't just settle on one option. Like, don't just think, okay, this is one thing I can do, this is the one I should do. You know, evaluate everything. I recommend listing them all down, even if they're not very probable, even if they might not work, at least just so you know all of your options. Of course, another great thing to do is to seek support. Whether you reach out to coworkers, family, or friends, or mentors, support and collaboration might help you cope. And then, of course, there's the things I talk about all the time. So trying a relaxing activity. Maybe this is your sign, you know, after hearing it for so long, trying painting or coloring or baking or a new sport or writing or any creative endeavor. Maybe now as you're watching this video, this is the push that you need. Lastly, of course, exercise, sleep, and diet. And if you don't have those 3 locked in, that's the best place to start. If you're not getting enough sleep, then find find a way to get more sleep. If you find yourself with 1 extra hour each week where you're just on your phone doing nothing, spend that 1 hour exercising. And of course, take care to eat the right things. I know working from home is difficult. It's very tempting to just have stuff delivered all the time. But a sports car made to race and go at high speeds is not gonna perform very well on dirty fuel. And the last thing is preventing burnout. And I can give you all of the practices and all of the things to do and not do, but you've heard that so many times. Instead, let me run down the 12 stages of burnout. I find that many of us are in the early stages of burnout and we're not realizing that it can evolve and get worse over time if we don't start doing something about it now. It starts with excessive drive or ambition, which, comes from a good intention, comes from a good heart. And after that is pushing yourself to work harder. And 3, neglecting personal care and needs. And this is where things get fuzzy. You don't really realize it. You might need a friend to let you know that you're neglecting your personal care and needs. And this is the part where you might be afraid to say no to different favors or tasks that are assigned to you, or where you might start justifying or making excuses. 4, displacement of conflict. So instead of acknowledging that you're pushing yourself beyond your limits, you start blaming your boss or the demands of your job or your colleagues or the environmental factors around you. 5, no time for non-work related needs. You begin to withdraw from family and friends. Social invitations to parties and dinners, they begin to feel more burdensome or more like a hassle. 6, denial. You become more and more impatient with others. Instead of taking responsibility for your behaviors, you blame others and you see them as incompetent or lazy or overbearing. 7, withdrawal. You become detached from your social life. 8, behavioral changes. You're snapping at loved ones for no reason. You're becoming aggressive. Or you're simply not taking care of yourself. Sleep, diet, exercise, not there. 9, depersonalization. So you're feeling detached even from your own self and from who you are and your purpose in life. Hopefully, you're not at this point. 10 is inner emptiness or anxiety. People tend to turn to thrill-seeking behaviors to cope with this, whether that's substance abuse or gambling or overeating. 11, depression. Life just loses its meaning and you begin to feel hopeless. And 12, mental or physical collapse. Mental health or medical attention will probably be necessary at this point, and we're standing with you, and I encourage you to seek help from a professional. But especially if you're experiencing one of the first few signs of burnout, then maybe it's time to stop denying it and start taking care of yourself. Hopefully this video helped as like a mini comprehensive guide to burnout. Thanks to City of Manila for showing me around dito sa bagong ospital ng Maynila. And as always, have a great day.